In this training today, I'm going to go over two sources that you can use to find off-market properties in your area. Both of these sources are completely free to access and are a great place to get started, even if you're a new investor. But before I get to the specifics of those two sources, if you're new to real estate investing, or maybe you've just got one deal under your belt and you're trying to figure out your next move, hopefully this will help point you in the right direction. In order to build a successful real estate investing business, there are 5 key things that you'll need. The first thing that you'll need is investor-friendly financing. That's financing to cover the purchase and any renovation that needs to be done to the house. And speaking of the house, the second thing you'll need are properties. Properties that fit your current budget and your strategy. Now, once you've got your financing in place and you started to look at properties, you will also need contractors. Contractors to complete any of the work that needs to be done to the house. And just like your financing, you'll need contractors who are used to working with investors who can give you investor pricing, not Angie's List pricing. The fourth thing you'll need is an exit strategy. And you want an exit strategy that aligns with your chosen investment strategy. That means that you'll either refinance the property to hold it long term, or you'll need a reliable agent who can help you price the property to sell it quickly on the MLS. And finally, the fifth thing you'll need is a plan. You need a plan that includes both short and long-term goals to help you stay on track and ensure that actions you're taking today will help move you closer to your investing goals 2 to 3 years from now. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gary Bailey. My company is White Box Properties out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and I've been a full-time real estate investor for almost 20 years. I primarily wholesale properties, but I also buy rentals, and I do about 6 to 8 flips a year. Total, I do around 50 houses a year, and I've bought and sold over 2,000 houses during my career. Now, none of that really matters, except to say that I'm actively in the investing game. I'm not some internet real estate influencer or anything like that. I make my money buying and selling houses. And what I'm going to show you today are some of the sources that I use to buy houses for my own real estate business. So, first of all, what are off-market houses? Well, personally, I define off-market houses as houses that are not listed on the MLS, and they're houses that you can buy directly from the seller without paying any commissions or middleman markups like finder's fees or fees to wholesalers. These houses are typically harder to find because they aren't on some public list that you can download. When most investors think of off-market houses, they immediately think of pre-foreclosures, or they think of houses that have delinquent taxes, or maybe like tired landlords, non-owner occupied properties. And those are all pretty good sources. But here's the thing with those sources. Those owners of those properties, they're very, very heavily marketed too. And there are tons of investors competing for a very small amount of properties. One of the things that I like about the sources that I work is that I very rarely run into any competition for the houses I buy. So even if a property is off market, there are still a ton of investors who know about it and they're going after it. It kind of spoils the party and it defeats the purpose. But why does this even matter? Well, if you're an experienced investor, you may have bought all of your properties off the MLS or from wholesalers, in which case you paid some type of commission or you paid a fee along with the price of the house. If you bought a house from a wholesaler, they probably charged you $15,000 or something like that, whether you knew it or not. And if you bought a house on the MLS, there was most likely a real estate commission that was included, and you were also probably bidding against other investors, which means it's likely that you paid more than you would have on your own. So the great part about buying off-market houses directly from sellers is that you can avoid all those fees, and you can avoid all those bidding wars and all the craziness that goes with it. So if you do it right, you'll probably be the only person the seller is even talking to about selling their house. And this gives you a huge advantage. It allows you to buy properties for deep discounts. Personally, I consider off-market houses kind of the holy grail of real estate investing. And once you figure out how to find these houses, you'll wonder why you ever bought a house off the MLS to begin with. Now, there are a ton of ways to get houses. But really quickly, today I'm going to go over 2 of the main sources that I use to buy off-market properties. Both of them are free. They just require a little bit of sweat equity. So you don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars a year on marketing just to find off-market houses. The first source, and this is probably the easiest one, are online auctions and other websites where you can access properties that aren't on the MLS. So I'll put a list here up on the screen for you to see. Some of the sites that we've had the best success with is auction.com, Hubzu, and Zome. These are all 3 auction sites, and they're a very easy way to start tracking houses in your area that aren't on the MLS. The key with the auction sites is that you need to keep track of the houses that you're interested in that are on the sites. They might not sell at the end of the auction, so you need to keep track to know what they last listed for, what they sold for, what they didn't sell for, and what the reserve price was. I recommend tracking these on a spreadsheet outside of the auction so that nothing slips through the cracks. If you're interested in commercial and multifamilies, there are 3 websites that I recommend that specialize in these types of properties. Those sites are 10x.com, CoStar, and also Yardi Matrix. And finally, another great resource to find houses online is a website called InvestorLift. This website is used by many wholesalers to advertise properties. However, it costs, I think, like $5,000 a year, something like that. So you know that the people that post properties on there are people that are pretty serious, and they probably get pretty good deals. But the overall key with any online source is to work these sources for multiple months and maybe even years. So just because you see a property on the website and maybe it doesn't sell at auction, then it's going to come back again. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be good deals on there ever. We've bought tons of houses from these sites, and I highly recommend checking them out. So spend plenty of time keeping track of these houses and working these sources over and over. Now, the second source of off-market properties is right under your nose, and many investors don't even know about it, and that source is Facebook. Now, when you think of finding things for sale on Facebook, the first thing you think of that pops into your mind is probably what? Facebook Marketplace, right? And you can definitely find houses posted on there from time to time, so it's worth keeping an eye on. But what I'm talking about are Facebook groups. Most cities have private groups where real estate investors post off-market properties. These groups can be a huge asset for anyone looking for off-market houses. Not only do investors post houses, some of the bigger groups have multiple posts per day, but you can also post in these groups if you're looking for a house in a particular area. So let's say you're looking for a house near Knoxville, maybe somewhere like Clinton or something like that. You can post, I'm looking for a 3-2 house in Clinton. Anybody got anything? And then investors in the group will either reply to your post or they might even message you directly. So how do you find these groups? Well, that's the easy part. You want to type in the name of the city and the words real estate investors in the Facebook search bar. Then click on groups on the left side of the screen. This should give you a list of real estate investor groups in your chosen city. You can also search the city name and the words off market, and that will give you even more groups. Now it's up to you how many of these groups you want to join. On the search results, it will show you how many members are in each group and also how many posts there are a day. You'll also see that there are statewide groups and even national off-market groups. But I tend to find that these groups are a little too big to be effective, so I usually just stick with the groups that are local to my area. Now, to join a group, all you need to do is click the join button, and they'll usually ask you a few simple questions, and you'll most likely be admitted to the group. From there, you should start receiving notices of new posts in those groups, and you can even scroll back through the older posts to see what properties have been posted. Now, maybe you'll find a great deal that didn't sell when they first posted it that's still available. Also, don't forget to message other investors in the group who have posted properties for sale to see if they have anything else available, and to be sure to ask them if you can be added to their buyers list. All right, guys, I'll be sharing other videos in the future with different tips on buying off-market houses, so be sure to keep an eye out for those. But I just wanted to put this together really quickly, and I'm going to share some other sources in the future, but I wanted to keep this really short and sweet because I'm sure you're really busy. So if you want to find out more about what I do to buy houses off-market and how you can incorporate these strategies in your own business, shoot me a text, or there's probably even a link underneath this video where you can schedule a 15-minute strategy call. And I can answer any questions for you about your business and any challenges that you're having. And no, it's not a cleverly disguised sales call, so calm down. Just grab a spot on my calendar, and if you need help with any aspect of your business, feel free to give me a call. All right, have an awesome day, and I'll speak to you soon.